Hey everyone, so I'm here to do a little review on a show that a Netflix show, 13 Reasons Why. Initially I didn't know if I wanted to watch it, get into it. I mean, it got to the point where like a bunch of my Facebook friends were talking about it and I really wasn't sure if I needed something else on my plate to obsess about. And you know, with Netflix, all the episodes are up, so you want to binge watch. So I decided to give it a try and watch it. It was actually on the news the other day. They were talking about it, about how it's it's good in a sense that you want your middle schoolers and high schoolers to watch it, but you need to be with parental supervision. So my kids ain't that old yet, but I really wanted to see what the show had to offer. Um, so I ended up still giving it a chance, and I watched it all 13 episodes, and it's some deep stuff. I can't say I could identify with every aspect that the main character Hannah went through, but the bullying part, yes, especially when I first came to America, kids were cool as shit. But I just wonder, how is this what kids in this generation like are experiencing? Because I feel like with social media, it just makes everyone, like Drake be saying, have trigger fingers, because everyone can hide behind a phone, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and say what they want, but they can't really face it. But another conversation that I had with like some of my friends about this, is even before 13 Reasons Why came out, was how where we live in Northern Virginia, there was an incident last year where two teenagers like killed themselves in the park in the car, and I think it's because the girl broke up with the boy or vice versa. It don't matter. They ended up in the car. One was shot and the other one stabbed himself. I don't remember completely, but they ended up both dead. It was murder suicide. And we had gotten into a conversation because it seemed to have been like a lot of more stories of like teens committing suicide. And I, in a way, kind of feel like this generation has lost its sense of fight. Don't judge me. I don't want to hear anything. This is my opinion. If you disagree, we can agree to disagree. But I feel like with the whole everyone gets a trophy or you can never hear no, like that's bullshit. Like everyone should not get a trophy. I mean, yeah, you participate, but participation does not deserve a trophy. You win, you get a trophy. If you lose, you don't. How else are you supposed to learn between striving for a higher achievement and not, if you always get awarded and rewarded for barely doing the minimum or just existing versus trying to achieve and get up? I made the comment and I said, I just feel like there's no sense of fight. There's no sense of resiliency, you know? And I'm not saying Hannah didn't fight. I think she, as things continue to happen with her, she looked for, I can't even think of the word I'm trying to think of. Like, not approval, but, and it's not support, but someone to always ask her, is she okay? And there's nothing wrong with that, because I feel like you should ask people if they're okay, you know, because you never know what someone is going through or whatever the case is. I just think the show kind of exposes the true nature of what the life that, like, I'm scared for my kids. If this is the road that things are going in, like, I am fearful. I feel like I wish I can put them in a bubble so they can never have to be exposed to the extra cruelty. Like, life is gonna hit you with some road bumps and some obstacles, but the shit that this girl dealt with in the show was just, I wouldn't want my worst enemy to have to experience that, you know? And I kind of feel like, well, not kind of, other than her friends and her family, all of them missing the cues and all of that, they're not us as regular human beings aren't really trained to pick up on suicidal ideation and cues and things that people say. But when she went to see her counselor and she pretty much laid her shit out on the table, and he just kind of, he wanted to probe, but I felt like in a way he felt like if he asked any more questions, he wasn't really ready to dive in. Like, he wanted to look like he was helping, but really he didn't want to open up that can of worms, because then he will be held responsible to figuring out what he needed to do to help her. So I know deep down he knew, like when the girl said, I just wish it would all stop. You know, like just everything. I don't want to feel anything. That's a pretty big indication that something else is going on. And when she, you know, he kept on asking her about the, you know, what happened at the party, did something happen, who assaulted her, and he pretty much told her, or after she told him that he was, you know, the person is a senior, his response was, well, he'll be gone in a couple of months and you don't have to worry about it anymore. That's not the response a counselor should have. So I wonder if his character was deliberately made so that we see what a lot of kids go through in school. I'm not saying like the school counselors aren't doing their job, because I know there's a lot of great ones there, but I worked in an elementary school, and sometimes the school counselors are so consumed with this stupid standardized testing that they don't even have time to really check in with the kids that they know probably could use a little bit more of, hey, how you doing? You know, like I used to work as a therapeutic day treatment counselor, and some of the obstacles that the counselors, the school counselors, were, you know, going through was like they couldn't even do groups with kids, because every time they turn around, they had to go prep for the SOL, so they had to go prep for another standardized testing. Like, school should not be consumed of all of that. Like, you need to be, if you're there to be a counselor, your job description should just be to counsel and help the kids, not figure out how you can get them to pass the standardized testing. That's really not going to do shit for you when you get out of school anyways. Like, that's a whole nother rant that I have to go into. But I feel like because of all the testing, the counselor's job and their role has really been diminished to where they can't actually do their job. So I wonder if his character was deliberately written so that it can show that perspective, because there were a lot of clues and cues that this girl gave when she went to see him. And I mean, like her parents and stuff, but I feel like the other person that at the top of the list of all the people that let her down, he might be slowly at the number one spot, just because I think he really didn't want to dive in and really have to deal with all that her confessions was gonna open up. And I mean, I don't blame him, because that shit was a lot. But his job was to make sure she was okay, you know? And I mean, and another things that I feel like a lot of the time she was also hoping someone would come after her, you know? And sometimes we do, as humans, we continue to push and be like, are you okay? No, are you sure you're okay? Do you need anything? But there are some times where if you tell somebody to just leave you alone and you really are blunt about it, 9 times out of 10, they'll just leave you alone. But other than that, okay, so the show was renewed for a second season, right? And I think, now, let's see if my prediction is right, because when the second season comes out, I'm going to revisit all of this. Let's see how correct I am. So on the show, on the last episode, we see, I think his name was Tyler, the kid that was doing the photography and all of that. He had, okay, so before that, the 13th episode, there was an episode where Tyler met up with some sketchy guy in the alley. They exchanged money in like a film tube or something. He gave the guy something. It may have been porn, I don't know, but he gave him something in a little film roll thing, and the guy gave him something wrapped in like a towel, so you can tell it was a gun. I automatically assumed that he was going to commit suicide as well, or do something, because of all the pressure and then like the whole lawsuit and the deposition. So I just thought he was just trying to like just out himself. Okay, That was my first assumption until we get to the 13th episode where Tyler's getting ready for his deposition, and you see he has his chest in his room, and he takes out all his like if you look at it, all his cameras are lined up, but in the chest he takes out another compartment, and in that compartment are a bunch of different guns. There's like a rifle, handguns, like it's a bunch of different shit. And his mom walks in. Of course, he gets, startled and closes it or whatever. So he goes and does the deposition, whatever. And then we get to another scene where he is in his black room, right? And he has pictures of every single person that Hannah accused on that tape or that did something to her. And actually, to him as well, because when you think about it, every person that did something to her also in some way somehow bullied him. He had all their pictures up, and if you notice, he took down the picture of Alex. And initially I thought it was because he felt like Alex had defended him in that one scene where the other jock pushed him against the locker, talking about he was going to destroy his camera or whatever. Alex had came and defended him, but then Alex did say, "I hope I never fucking see you again," some shit like that. But he took it down because Alex had shot himself, so he kind of felt like that's one less person for him to worry about. I think the second season is going to touch bases on school shootings, because I feel like at this point Tyler is just so frustrated, and who just collects guns like that? Like, he's got every type of handgun. Well, not every type. He's got like 5, including a rifle. So, and then all the pictures he has up are of everyone that's involved in this case. And like I said, he took Alex's picture down because Alex had shot himself in that episode. So I guess he felt like, okay, one less thing to worry about. But his main focus, it seemed like, was Clay. Like, Clay is the bull's eye. Like, if he's gonna be able to take anyone out, I think it's gonna be Clay, because he feels like Clay's the one that started this whole shitstorm. Even though everyone got the tapes, he feels like if Clay didn't get the tape, no one would have known, because all the other people that got the tapes listened to it and just moved on and acted like the shit didn't exist. So I feel like he blames Clay for the spiral that his life has gone into, and I think that that's what the second season is gonna touch bases on, is mass school shootings. And Tyler would fit that profile that you normally would see of someone that would commit a crime like that, based on how his character is shown and how his character is. I could be wrong, but it's a slim chance. If they decide to change the angle that they're gonna go on the second season, I would be very surprised. But I'm pretty sure Tyler has 13 reasons why he would commit a mass school shooting with all that has gone wrong in that season and with him. So if you agree with me that that's the angle they're going to do, leave a comment below. If you disagree, still leave a comment below. Let's chit chat and go back and forth. But I am praying for my kids' generation, and even my niece and my nephew's generations. Like, it seems like it is hard out there, and these kids just hide behind social media. Like, there are no more like social skills or interaction, and it's just like everyone can be this person that is really not who they are and can get away with it because they can hide behind social media. And I just think it's really not worth it. But then again, when I was growing up, Facebook wasn't popping. It was just strictly college students, and now everybody and their mama and their grandmama and all of them are able to get on it. So the platform has grown so massive that it's hard to control it. So you gotta teach your kids, like, you're not always gonna win in life. Sometimes you don't win and you lose, and it's okay. You just gotta push through. I feel like we have to instill resiliency and fight in our kids, because some of it is the parents' fault. If you just always give the kids what they want, how they're gonna learn disappointment. There's nothing wrong with disappointment. There's nothing wrong with not getting what you want. Because guess what? My kids don't get a lot of the stuff that they want, but that allows them to fight for more. If they do something wrong, they get consequences. No. So I feel like as parents, we also have to not only teach that to our kids, but also check in on them, especially as they get older. I need to know every password, all their friends, every little thing you are doing up in here, because I don't want to be surprised with anything. And I'm not saying I'm going to always know what my kids are are going to be doing. But at the same time, I want to have that relationship where not necessarily that they fear me, but they have some type of fear a little bit, but at the same time feel comfortable enough to come to me or their dad to talk about things that are going on. That's, I'm hoping that I can instill that in them, because there's shit out here based on not just the show, but like looking at the younger kids and how many kids are continue to commit suicide thinking that's the best option. It's just not. You gotta have a sense of fight. You gotta have something better to live for, and that starts with your parents kind of instilling that in you and teaching you to not give up. Bullying sucks. I went through that shit when I first came to the States, and I feel like if I didn't have that sense of fight, I probably may have used an option like that. But you have to teach that in your kids. You gotta want something more, and that starts with us as the parents instilling that. So you can agree, disagree, but we can agree to disagree. So until next time, I'll see you guys, oh gosh, in my next video. All right, bye.